So Bushiroad just made their biggest mistake since maybe Zazan. And I'm honestly tired. This feels a lot like 3 or 4 years ago when they first announced their BCS season right after the first reboot. And they went, oh, Europe? Premium? I don't know. Here's, 2 BCSs for the entire continent. The amount of war I had to wage for premium during those months was honestly exhausting. And this feels very similar. Now, of course, this time we already, had proper proof that there's many players who love premium, so it won't be as daunting, but it's still just, why? Why do you keep getting in your own way? Holy fuck. So, to create context, I do want to say that when you watch this video and you're about to scroll down to the comment section and you're about to protect this policy and you haven't watched the video, don't bother, please. Just don't. If you have a strong opinion on it, at least watch the arguments before you say something that's already been addressed. So what happened? We are getting back our real-life events. We are getting back Springfest, which when it was announced, of course, we were all hyped as hell. I think I instantly tweeted about it. I was just hyped, finally we get some beautiful events back for Vanguard. It's been so long. I understand why we couldn't have them, but it's been so long. We're getting them back. Yes. Big hype. However, what they hadn't announced was which formats were on which day. Now, if you recall, when they announced Overdress, I said, oh, 3 formats? We can never fix that. That is gonna be a mess. You're gonna have real-life events, and that's 2 days, because weekends have 2 days. And there's gonna be problems, because 2 and 3 are not the same number. However, back then, not many people seemed to have a problem with it, but here we are. Now, the actual problem finally presented itself. And so when Springfest was announced, there was no solution given yet. So okay, I guess we just wait. And now we've gotten our solution. Saturday has standard and premium, and Sunday has V and Ys. This is a problem. This is a really big problem. There were, in my mind, 3 ways they could shuffle around the formats. And this is the worst one. This is actually such a bad one that in my mind, it wasn't even one of the options. I thought there's 2 options, and one of them sucks, and the other one kinda sucks. But the third one is just disastrous, and really, it didn't cross my mind that any policymaker ever could even get to this solution. So why is this a problem? Again, you're first gonna need context. We have 3 formats. Overdress, the latest format, standard. Always assume that this is gonna be the primary pushed format. No matter your opinion, whether you like the format, whether you love the format, doesn't matter. It's gonna be the primary pushed format. It is gonna have the newest players. Obviously, because it is the primary pushed format, it's gonna have the less enfranchised players often. Even though I love the format, that's just the reality of it, right? It's the newer thing, it brought in new people, it's overall gonna have the people who just haven't been in Vanguard as long. It has more new players, it has more people who are just complete newbies, and that's cool, that's totally fine. Next you have V. V is a format that has existed now for 3 years, 4 years, I don't know, somewhere along those lines. It is gonna have slightly more enfranchised players, obviously, because it's been around for longer than Overdress. But they're still pretty similar overall. They're still newer and easier. But again, you could say V has been around for longer, more enfranchised players. Still makes sense. Then you have Premium. Technically, Premium is just all of the old cards from the very start until now. So you have all your enfranchised players. You automatically are gonna have your long-term players and your more veteran players in this format, or preferring it. Not all necessarily, there are exceptions. But in general, people with more experience in the game are gonna like to use that experience on all of those cards. It's also just very easy to pull. You can go to Vanguardians, you can ask all the people who, consistently top, you can look at WCC and so forth. Not all, again, there's incredible other players as well, but it's a majority. So D, newer players, V somewhere in the middle, Premium, more enfranchised, long-term and so forth. Makes sense because of how time works. So now you come out with a policy where you put that long-term and franchised player format on the exact same day as your primary pushed format. What happens? You are forcing players to choose. So let's say 100 people show up. What is gonna happen? You're obviously gonna have a large portion playing Overdress and being forced to choose Overdress because it is the primary pushed format. But then you have your hardest format, your most complex, your most competitive, I would argue, format, that suddenly has way less players because, well, you're pushing one format more, right? And beyond that, teams has network effects built in. So it is more likely that a team can be formed of standard players than of premium players. It is more likely if you have a player that's standard, a player that's premium, and then a player that's both, you have two of each technically, but it's more likely that that premium only player still has a standard deck and then is forced into standard. That's how network effects work. So the way network effects have even more impact in teams, you're automatically making your premium tournament much smaller, right? And your standard tournament much bigger. But here's the problem. Your most enfranchised competitive players are now forced to cannibalize each other in a smaller event that is much harder than at the event because you just culled your most experienced players out of it. So you're making your premium format a small but highly competitive hell, and you're making your D format just less competitive at the same time. You're making both lose. Premium loses prestige because it has less players, but D loses prestige because the best players are eating each other in the other fucking room. But it gets worse, because if you're a savvy player who's like really fucking good, you know, hey, damn, the 15 players that I'm really scared of aren't in D? And that person just goes to D. So now your network effects are fucking premium in the ass even more. So that's already fucking awful, right? Beyond that, it's also very bad optics, because suddenly you'll have idiots in comment sections going, huh, look how low the premium turnout was. Clearly it's dying. And you're gonna have fear and doubt because of idiots once again. And oh my god, how fucking long have I had to fight these? And then you have premium collection coming out. And suddenly those sales will be lower. Why? Because you will have idiots saying premium is dying, look at the low turnout. So then premium collection sells worse. The company sees this and goes, oh, clearly the format isn't doing that great. Guess we'll get our BCS season back and put it on that day again. Clearly that's what people want. Holy shit, can you not see the feedback loop you're creating yourself? Not to even mention that everyone is forced to play V. Now you can like V, that's fine, but V is just Overdress Light, and it has been the same format for 2 years now. Are we all excited to play Prism Luard Gavrail again, or are we getting a nuke destroying 10 decks in the process? Because it's gonna be one or the other. In my mind, what was going to happen was we would have Standard and Wise on day one, because generally Vanguard and Wise players are just different groups. There's exceptions, because obviously in WCC we have really strong Wise players who are also Vanguard players, but in general they are different groups. So Standard and Wise on day one, Premium and V on day two. That was, in my mind, not a great solution. You know, it was still gonna suck, but it was gonna be less sucky. I thought they would go for that. But in my opinion, what would have been even better was Overdress and V on day one, Premium on day two, because at least Premium is a different experience than Overdress. At least it is different, and at least you're once again caring about your longer term and franchise players. But that is not how you keep players loyal at all. And this is honestly like a problem that I see Vanguard have that Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't have at all. And Yu-Gi-Oh might have the opposite problem. You know, Yu-Gi-Oh spits in the face of their more casual players in terms of tournament experience, that is. But then Vanguard just does the opposite. I don't understand why there can't be a beautiful middle of the road. So again, there were two options in my mind. Either V and Premium are on day two and Standard is on day one. That was kinda sucky, but I thought they would go for that because it was so obvious. My ideal, in my mind, option was V and Overdress on day one, Premium on day two, because they're just very different experiences. Now you're just getting two of the same experience, okay. But then they went for this. It never even crossed my mind how dumb they could be. And I really hate saying this because I like this game. Like, understand that this video comes from love. I've been making Vanguard videos for, I don't know, what, 5 years? 6? 5? I don't fucking know. I've been making Vanguard videos for so long. It's not because I hate the game, clearly. I really like this game. I have 3 goals here. It's ensuring the survival of Vanguard, so ensuring the survival of Premium, so I can compete hopefully at the highest level. That is my goals in Vanguard. So when I make this video, it's not to be the mean man with the beard. It's to hopefully, I don't know what I can even do, but it's to hopefully stop Bushiroad from fucking shooting themselves in the face. This is just sad. And it's also at a time where the game is at its most fragile. And like, Overdress, I like it. Set 4 is great. But we are in very fragile times. Because we have all of these collab reveals, and we have all of these lyrical reveals that many people, quite frankly, don't give a damn about. And I actually kinda do. You know, I play Bermuda Triangle in Premium, so I still care what cards are coming out. And even then, I'm still like, oh my fucking god, why? Why? So little hype. Where's the news? Where's all our news from sets that are coming that like a lot of people care about? So we're at like this fragile non-hype point. And we're also at this fragile point because Yu-Gi-Oh! Just came out with Master Duel. So it's like a lot of people are already, oh, this is easy to get into Yu-Gi-Oh! Oh, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is kind of fun. Weird. And then franchise players are getting their shins kicked in consistently here for a long ass time. And they're like, well, Yu-Gi-Oh! Doesn't do that. So they try that out and it's pretty fun. That's weird. So that's again, you know, stealing players. You have fucking Digimon grabbing a lot of the game hopping folk. And there's nothing wrong with game hopping, you know, when it comes to video games, I'm like that. I'll hop from game to game. But from a company perspective, you don't want people game hopping, right? You want people to stay with your game. So we're at this very fragile point where Bushiroad really can't afford to fuck their longtime players. And that's what they decide to do. And I just don't get it. I just really don't get it. So yeah, rant over. I already know a portion of people will be very loud and mad, and that's fine. But I hope this maybe reaches Bushiroad or something. I don't even fucking know. I don't even know if people understand the ramifications of this just yet. And that's the worst part. When you've seen all of these things play out because you've been in card game communities for so many years and you've been a portion of it that had influence and you've seen thousands of people's opinions and how things shift, you have a perspective that is, in my opinion, more rigid because you've just seen it. You've seen one thing happen and then another thing happen and another, so it's more easy to discern what's gonna happen when new policies are implemented. And so a lot of people, I think, will literally not get it. They will not see what's about to happen here and might even start arguing against the health of the game, even though that doesn't seem obvious right now. But it is what it is. Thanks for watching.